students. So we have been reading that Bertrand Russell has talked about that how this idea was first taken up by Rousseau, by Thomas Love Peacock, and again by Samuel Butler in his Erebon, that how machines are a kind of danger or a kind of threat or a kind of opposition to the emotional well-being of mankind, and how they are being talked about in this manner by people even after that, in since the 19th century. Now he says that machines are worshipped because they are beautiful and valued because they confer power. So now he is talking about the pros and cons of machines. He says that machines are worshipped, they are venerated, they are liked, they are being loved by people, they are being given a kind of weightage by people, they are being welcomed by people. Why? Because they are beautiful. People like machines, people worship machines, people just give that kind of attitude towards machines. Why? Because they are beautiful and they are being valued, they are being given the importance. Why? Because they confer power. Look, if you are riding a bicycle and then you are riding a bike, so that bike, it is obviously beautiful, then the cycle, and it gives you power to move with a fast speed. So that is the two things, that they are being worshipped, they are being valued. Why? Worshipped because they are beautiful in their looks, and they are valued, they are being given that value, that importance. Why? Because they give us power. And the cons, that they are hated because they are hideous and loathed because they impose slavery. It says they are hated because they are hideous, and machines, they are hideous, that's why they are hated. Means now he is talking about different aspect, that from one angle, if you look at that machinery, then it appears beautiful to you, and from another angle or to some other machinery, if you look, then looks hideous, it's not beautiful, and they are being hated again. Why? Because they impose slavery, they make you their own slave. Now he is talking about two different kind of machineries, no? Which, as I have given you the example of cycle and motorcycle, the motorcycle looks beautiful, the motorcycle gives you power, but okay, if we look at a cement mixture, that mixer, it doesn't look beautiful, it looks very hideous, and it imposes slavery upon us, it makes the mankind its slave. How? Look, आपने जब अपने घरों में काम चलता है, आपने देखा दैट मिक्सर, वो जो सीमेंट मिक्स करता है, एक गोल गोल एक घूमता रहता है, उसका क्या है कि इट हैज इट्स ओन डिमांड, कि आप उसमें चार परात जो है वो सीमेंट डालेंगे, आप उसमें ऐड प्रांत जो है वो बजरी डालेंगे, आप उसमें उसी अमाउंट में रोड़ी डालेंगे, आप उसी अमाउंट में उसमें पानी डालेंगे, यानी इट मेक्स यू इट्स ओन स्लेव। आप स्लेव हैं कि अगर उसकी स्पीड, उसकी जो मोमेंटम है, इफ यू वांट इट टू कीप मूविंग up to that same speed and give you the desired result, then you have to supply the things which it needed, है ना? It makes you slave of itself, ये आपको अपना गुलाम बनाता है। अगर आपको उससे वो रिजल्ट चाहिए जो आप चाहते हैं, तो आपको वो सब चीजें कंटिन्यूसली उसको सप्लाई करनी होंगी, है ना? दैट इज व्हाट ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्लेवरी थिंग। Do not let us suppose that one of these attitudes is right and the other wrong. And he also says that we can't suppose this thing, that one of these attitude is right. Which one? That the machines are beautiful and they give us power, or the machines are hideous and they make us their slave. So he says both these two cannot be termed as one as right and the another one as wrong. Neither we can go with the beautiful thing, nor we can go with the hideous one. Any more than it would be right to maintain that men have heads but wrong to maintain that they have feet. He said that this is quite similar to this analogy. If we say that men have heads, yes, it is correct that men have heads, and then we say that men have feet, yes, it is also correct that men have feet also, though he says that we can easily imagine Lilliputians disputing this question concerning Gulliver. If you have read that Gulliver's Travel, then you might know that Gulliver was such a large bodied person, and when he has visited that island of the Lilliputians, so they cannot even see the full body of him from standing at the earth beside him. So he says that this question, that man has head or man has feet, this question can be disputed in the case of Lilliputians, that yes, no, he doesn't have head, and the persons who have seen him from the height or from that place, they say that no, he doesn't have feet. So he said that this question can be disputed in the case of Gulliver when he was being observed by the Lilliputians, but in a general sense, we cannot deny both these two facts. A machine is like a jinn in the Arabian Nights. If you have seen that drama Arabian Nights, or if you have read that book Arabian Nights, in that book what happens? That there is that lamp, and when that lamp is being rubbed, a jinn appears in front of Aladdin. So he said that that machine, every machine, it's like a jinn in the Arabian Nights, beautiful and beneficent to its master. How is that jinn? That jinn appears beautiful. The jinn appears useful to whom? To the master, but hideous and terrible to his enemies. But for the enemies of that master and the enemies of Aladdin, the jinn was quite a hideous animal. It was very dangerous, it was very terrible. So he said that that analogy seems a bit good to apply in connection with machines, that beautiful and hideous matter, that it is beautiful, it is good, it is helpful, it is a asset to the master, but not to the enemies of the master. But in our day, nothing is allowed to show itself with such naked simplicity. But he said that now, the age in which we are living, we cannot allow a thing to be show itself in such naked simplicity that yes, it is good for the master and bad for the enemies of the master. No, it cannot be that simple, because the machines has some other implications also. That's, it cannot be compared to that jinn of the Arabian Nights. The master of the machine, it is true, lives at a distance from it, where he cannot hear its noise or see its unsightly heaps of slag or smell its noxious fumes. He says that the master of the machine, it is true, it is a fact, it is a real thing, that the master of that machine, means the owner of that mill, the owner of that factory, who has planted that machine there, he lives at a very far distance from that machine, and he is not directly connected with the working of that machine. So he cannot hear that big noise which that machine is making, and he cannot see that heap of slag, heap of waste material, or the poisonous fumes, the poisonous vapors, the poisonous smokes which are being produced by that machine. All these things are not being faced or felt by the master, because he lives somewhere else. He lives at a very far distance from that machine, And if he ever sees it, if he ever happens to see that machine, then when he sees, the occasion is before it is installed in use, when he can admire its force or its delicate precision without being troubled by dust and heat. He says the master, when he sees it, when he comes near that machine, he comes when it is not installed, means when it is just purchased anew. So he hasn't seen it working. He can only talk about the beauty of it, the force of it, and its delicate precision. Precision means that in 1 minute it can produce this thing, in 1 hour it can do this much work. So that precision he can tell, but he is not troubled by the dust and heat which is being produced by that machine. But when he challenged to consider the machine from the point of view of those who have to live with it and work it, he has a ready answer. And he says, okay, if you go and tell the master of that machine, the owner of that factory or that mill, so if he say this thing to that master that okay, this machine has produces such a large amount of heat and such a large amount of waste material, and it creates so much noise. If we tell all these things to that master, you might have seen this thing in films where those workers, those labor union people, they go to the master and they tell that okay, this machine is old and this is having this trouble, this is having this trouble, है ना, इससे धुआं निकलता है, इससे ये होता है, इससे हमारे साथी बीमार हो रहे हैं. These things you might have seen in various movies of 90s, है ना. So he says, but then if you tell all these things to that master or that owner of that mill or that factory, then he has a ready answer. Then he has a answer ready made available with him. And what is that answer? He can point out that owing to its operations, these men can purchase more goods, often vastly more than their great grandfather's goods. He says that just because this machine is working, just because of this machine's installation there in that factory, those people, those laborers who are working, those operators who are working near with that machine, they can purchase more goods, means they have been given a handsome amount of money just because they are working with that machine, and just because that machine is available to produce that much large amount of things, goods to be sold to the customers. So he has that ready answer that just because of the operations of this machine, just because of the installment of this machine, just because of the productivity of this machine, these people, these laborers who are working there in that factory, they can purchase more goods, and often vastly more than their great grandfathers could have purchased in their lifetime. सो दिस इज हिज आंसर कि ये जो मशीन है, इसकी जो वर्किंग है, इसके लगाने से उनका प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ने से क्या हुआ, सेल बढ़ी, सेल बढ़ने से क्या हुआ, आमदनी बढ़ी, और आमदनी बढ़ने की वजह से जो वर्कर्स हैं, जो लेबरर्स हैं, जो मजदूर वहां काम कर रहे हैं, उनको ज्यादा पैसा दिया जा रहा है. दिस इज हिज रेडी आंसर. और उस पैसे से क्या होगा, दे कैन परचेज थिंग्स, वो चीजें खरीद सकते हैं इन मोर अमाउंट्स, ज्यादा मात्रा में वो चीजें खरीद सकते हैं. It follows that they must be happier than their great grandfathers. So the simple assumption, the simple theory, the simple thing which that mill owner, that factory owner implies here is what? That they must be happier than their grandfathers. भी अगर वो अपने जो दादा परदादा थे उनकी बजाय वो ज्यादा चीजें खरीद सकते हैं, तो इसका जो इम्प्लीकेशन है, इससे जो मील ओनर जो बताना चाह रहा है, वो क्या बताना चाह रहा है कि दे मस्ट बी मोर हैप्पियर देन देयर ग्रैंडफादर्स. वो अपने वो जो दादा परदादा थे उनकी बजाय ज्यादा खुश रहती. If we are to accept an assumption which is made by almost everyone. And he says, if we have to accept this assumption, अगर हम इस assumption को, इस theory को, इस धारणा को मान लेते हैं, अडोप्ट कर लेते हैं, इसको स्वीकार कर लेते हैं कि यस दिस इज ट्रू, कि अगर हम ज्यादा चीजें खरीद पाते हैं तो हम ज्यादा खुश रहते हैं, then it is true, है ना। अगर हम इस assumption को मानते हैं, अगर हम इस धारणा को मानते हैं कि जो कि हर कोई कहता है, हर कोई बताता है कि buying things makes you more happier, buying more things, having more things makes you more happier, then they must be happier than their great grandfathers। तब क्या होना चाहिए था कि ये जो मील वर्कर्स हैं ये अपने ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर से, अपने दादा परदादा से ज़्यादा खुश होने चाहिए। जबकि एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू, इफ़ यू हैव सीन दिस थिंग इन द मूवीज़, अगर आपने पिक्चर्स में, मूवीज़ में देखा हो, 90s के दशक की जो फिल्में थी, कि जो मील वर्कर्स होते हैं वो हड़ताल करते हैं, वो मालिक को अपना विरोध जताते हैं इन सब के लिए, वो खुश नहीं है अपने पूर्वजों की बजाय। सो दिस इज व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से। So this is it for now. Thank you.